A symbol is anything that is agreed upon to designate something else. The advantage of symbols is that they may communicate complex concepts while being simple in and of themselves. Most symbols are simple drawings that consist of a few pen strokes, while other symbols are objects or actions. The diamond on a wedding ring, for instance, is a symbol. Imagine all the things that can be inferred about a husband who gives his wife a wedding ring mounted with a piece of glass or a random pebble instead of a diamond. An apple is just a fruit, and yet has been commonly associated with education, wisdom, and teachers. A wink is an action, but also a symbol. It is often used to communicate sexual interest, or to convey a hint. The symbol, whether it's a drawing, action, or object, often conveys a message far more complex than the symbol itself. The foundation of all symbols is agreement. When a symbol is repeatedly used in the same context, agreement regarding that symbol's meaning is formed. As time progresses, the symbol's meaning solidifies. If symbols are used randomly, with constantly changing meanings and associations, they fail to be symbols at all. After all, what good is a symbol that means something different each and every time you see it? Illuminati symbolism, used in popular culture such as movies, novels, and TV shows, isn't used randomly either. Believing that all-seeing eyes, pyramids, and suns are inserted into random places in a movie is an easy mistake to make. But let's think about that. Let me take you to a backward universe where the meaning of symbols is arbitrary and random. A world where hospital signs lead to fire stations and elementary schools. A world where the play and pause symbols have no bearing on what the buttons actually do. A world where radiation signs, biohazard symbols, don't walk signs, and dollar signs are placed randomly throughout the city and used interchangeably. You get the idea. If used randomly and without repeating context, the symbol fails to be a symbol at all. We don't use symbols randomly. We can't afford to, and neither can the Illuminati. The Illuminati is more dependent on symbols than most, and the reason is that it allows for secure communication no matter where the messages are located. As long as the masses are kept outside of that symbol's agreed upon meaning, any message can be hidden in plain sight. And, as stated earlier, not all symbols are drawings. This is so important to remember as we move forward.
I'm gonna sell my soul to the devil. What else? It's Hollywood. I want to be rich. I want to have everything. I want to have everything.
My price for selling my soul to the devil is wealth and power.
Maybe have my own reality show, and I want to meet Janice Dickinson and Donald Trump.
I sold my soul to the devil. I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. This it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness?
There's a revolution coming.
Excuse me? What do you mean?
The future is staring back at us like a perfect picture on glass. And this future, it must be protected.
What's it got to do with me?
Look,
What is it?
it will change everything. That's why they want to stop it. They will come after you without cease. Because the future belongs to us. LG OLED. A perfect picture on glass.
Who are you?
Oh, come now. I've already told you. The future is staring back at you. LG OLED TV.
For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was.
What's it got to do with me?
Look,
What is it?
it will change everything.
What's it got to do with me?
Look,
What's it got to do with me?
look,
What is it?
it will change everything. That's why they want to stop it. They will come after you without cease. Because the future belongs to us. Belongs to us.
What is it?
It will change everything. That's why they want to stop it. They will come after you without cease. And this future, it must be protected.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Who are you?
Oh, come now. I've already told you. The future is staring back at you.
President Trump has signed an executive order banning U.S. companies from using equipment made by foreign firms that pose a national security risk. It's a sweeping order, targeting pretty much just one company, Huawei.
A 1-2 punch aimed at the world's largest telecom equipment maker. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday banned China's Huawei and 70 of its affiliates from buying vital U.S. technology.
We're not going to do business with Huawei. We're not doing business with them. And I really made the decision
It's much simpler not to do any business with Huawei, so we're not doing business with Huawei.
Huawei is something that's very dangerous.
Tonight, we are here to commemorate our glorious society's 1500th anniversary. And in honor of this momentous occasion, we're having ribs.
Yeah!
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. You know, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander. With the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
You know, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
But I guess I wouldn't be very entertaining on stage. So Sasha comes out and she's fearless. You know, she can do things that I cannot do when I'm in rehearsal. I mean, I can try, but then it just doesn't happen. I can sing notes and sing strong and do all these things that when I'm just by myself, I can't do. And I remember right before I performed, I raised my hands up, and it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me. And I knew that was gonna be my coming out night for the BET Awards.
Looking so crazy in love, got me looking so crazy in love.
I can sing notes and sing strong and do all these things that when I'm just by myself, I can't do. I felt something else come into me.
When I was 15, because I grew up in a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. So I sold my soul to the devil.
13. What it is a superbly premium laptop that's remarkably thin, with an incredible 88% screen-to-body ratio.
For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass.
All new prototypes leave everything behind.
We started this thing. It's us versus them. The game has changed. It all starts today. You are the new prototypes. We are Under Armour. The future is ours!
Researching this topic for about a year or so now, I've discovered the significance of the number 8 and its connection to time. An hourglass is shaped like an 8. 8 represents the construct of time. That's why 8 is another variation of the Ouroboros, the snake eating itself, which has everything to do with time. And this suspicious story, as I saw it, brought to mind the film Source Code, which features a plot about a deja vu time loop computer program called the Source Code, where a man's consciousness is sent back in time to relive the final 8 minutes, the last 8 minutes in someone else's body, attempting to create an alternate timeline of reality. So we have a time loop that is set to 8 minutes, the final 8 minutes of someone's existence. When you realize the occult significance of 8 and its relation to time, it all begins to make sense. Even some of the film's promo art featured an 8 as the hourglass, because this is exactly what the number 8 is. So if 8 represents a reality, a construct of time, what happens when there are two 8s, double 8, 88? Well, we now have the convergence of two realities, two worlds colliding.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
it won't run under its own power. We know we can't pull it. But if we could figure out a way to push it up to 88 miles an hour.
This is of course why the Back to the Future DeLorean must go 88 in order to create the tear in the fabric. This is why in another 80s film called Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension features a time travel vehicle called the HB-88. I stumbled upon an episode of the old TV series called Goosebumps, which is based on the extremely popular and controversial Goosebumps book series of children's fiction horror, and these books were shockingly popular, and I of course read them myself. As it turns out, if you do a little research on Goosebumps and its dark history, you'll realize why it was so popular. In the episode called The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, a child travels back in time by turning the head of the cuckoo backwards. In attempting to get back to his original timeline, he accidentally breaks the number 88 off the clock. This year represented the year his younger sister was born, therefore erasing her from existence. Again, you will always see the number 8 playing a critical role in anything relating to time or time travel. This is why in the time travel film Donnie Darko, it takes place in 1988.
Time's going backwards.
Imagination. I think we got a writer on our hands. That'd make a great science fiction story, son. Time going backwards.
I want to bring to the presidency and to the White House beginning in January of 1989. Panama is a friendly country.
Tell him, George.
I went down there and talked to the president of Panama about cleaning up their money laundering.
Days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds.
As always, you will have 8 minutes.
8 minutes, and then I blow up again.
Yes. I need you to discipline yourself on this next pass. Perform only the tasks that we assign you. Everything else is irrelevant. Charge the drivers.
Okay. Has my father even...
I took your advice. It was very good advice.
Watch it.
We better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
The Hebrew name, it's the Lion Gate, and you can see, and you can see why there's 2 lions each side of. Another thing, the name, the Christian name for it is St. Stephen Gate. So Stephen, yeah, Stephen went out. The Muslim name is St. Mary Gate. Yeah, Maria, because the Muslims believe in the Holy Family, and they actually worship the tomb of Mary. Yeah, yeah, they worship the tomb of Mary, then in that case you can understand why it's so important. Then let's go into the city. And as you can see, the people are coming to pray, and it's like a market time. The wall, oh yes, yes. There's no reason to die today. The walls are from the 16th century, then the doors are from the 16th century too. Now, look to your left side. You can see the Muslims entering into the Temple Mount. Be careful! yeah, I know. Then you can see the Muslims are going in to pray. But we are going to...
All right, here we go. You got the beast making war with the saints. It's exactly what it says, guys. Exactly the stuff I've been telling you. It's happening. Revelation 13:7, it was given to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Now, you see what it says? War of the sons of light against the sons of darkness. Now, if you don't know what this is an expression on the War Scroll from the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's called the War Scroll. We're going to talk about the trumpet of the War Scroll, the order. Now, to us, believers in Jesus Christ, we are the sons of light, okay? But they're going to switch this. They're making their own. Everything is opposite. White is black, black is white, okay? But of the times and seasons, brother, you should not have you right unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. For so they sell peace and safety, okay? Peace and safety. We got the peace deal. We showed you in the other coin the peace deal. They had the dove on it, okay? Peace and safety. Then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman, and they shall not escape. But brethren, you are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief, but you are children of light and children of the day. You are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others, but watch and be sober, and be not drunken as they are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, of the light, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith, the whole armor. We're at war, guys. And love, and the helmet of hope and salvation. Okay, so now is the time for war, guys. This is what they're saying. They're going at war. The beast is going at war against us, okay? Now, this is the other side of the coin. They're calling Donald Trump their Messiah. This is the temple coin. This is the one going to come out. All right, you got the third temple coming soon. They saying Donald Trump is Cyrus. Okay, they got Cyrus here again. And it says something here like about the Sanhedrin. The council of the Sanhedrin is meeting. But look at, Cyrus is my anointed king. Well, what they're saying is Donald Trump is their anointed king. We say anointed in English. In Hebrew, that's Mashiach, the Messiah. Okay? They're saying Donald Trump is their Messiah, anointed king. Okay? Excuse me, back on this page, it says here something like Ben, son, right here, our light. And this is the Hebrew word for war. So war, sons, light, against the sons of darkness.
Determination to conquer all my ambitions, despite all the conditions, in light of my past decisions, made it to this position, and so my disposition, not seeing no limits, killing the competition.
Faster and smarter.
Position, my past decisions, made it to this position, and so my disposition, not seeing no limits, killing the competition.
Faster and smarter for longer. De Huawei Mate 20 Pro.
The devil has not changed his ways at all. He only changed his tactics. What worked in the ancient world to get people to worship the stars has now taken a modern form, but is still considered star worship. Even those in the industry are clearly aware of this worship connection. For example, guys, at the 2006 Emmys Award, Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart were introducing the award for the best reality show when all of a sudden Stephen Colbert out of nowhere blurts out,
"Good evening, godless sodomites." I'm bringing the truth, John. We're in Hollywood, the belly of the beast.
We're here to honor achievement in that category.
By giving you a golden idol to worship. Kneel before your God, Babylon!
and he did this as if to joke about how people can now worship the reality stars, just as the film actors are worshipped. Now, brothers and sisters, please don't be seduced into watching the world's worship ceremony. Guys, I want to mention that Babylon was an ancient pagan empire prominent in biblical prophetic works as an enemy of God's people due to their idolatry and sins. And Hollywood is kind of no different. I'm not exactly saying that Hollywood is Babylon, but Hollywood is functioning as the propaganda arm of the Antichrist media establishment. This is why stories and narratives continue to emerge of all these Hollywood scandals, sex and murder rituals, and occult crimes, with no puzzle pieces ever being put together. From its beginning, Hollywood has been an empire of tragedies, full of lost lives, drugs, and real-life drama. But this lifestyle is nothing new to Hollywood. The stage, in fact, has long been the site of tragedy and something much darker, much more sinister. It's a part of ritual invocation. And this all the way goes back to the ancient Greeks and Romans. For Greece and Rome, the stage was sacred, where the dramatic interactions of the gods were actually a form of magical invocation. The actors donned the costumes of the gods, with the playwright scripting the narrative to indoctrinate all the masses into the appropriate morals of state. Guys, Hollywood is about conditioning the state of mind, and it's all about the control of the mind of an individual rather than innocent entertainment. I just want us to be more aware of what is truly going on behind the scenes of the entertainment industry and its evils. A lot of the mainstream entertainment includes predictive programming, satanic rituals, and just programming in general, so we can react how the elites tell us to through all of these movies. This is all just programming for us to accept the Antichrist systems, my brothers and sisters. We must stay aware and very vigilant of the great deception that is upon us. We must always watch out for all of these evils, and we have to question everything.
Without exception.
I planned each charted course.
Each careful step.
Along the highway.
And more. Much more than this.
I did learn that.
Yes, there were times, I'm sure you do, when I did talk more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up, I spit it out, I faced it all, when I stood tall, and did it my
Yet another Adidas Originals commercial has come out to seemingly advertise and promote their athletic brand of footwear. However, even though we have broken down 2 of their commercials in the recent past, I believe this one is yet more blatantly obvious with the New World Order beast system programming, along with the major occult and pagan symbolism that is blatantly displayed in this commercial. And I know it happened very fast. You saw it for yourself at the beginning of this video, but there is just so much to break down in this particular one, and let's just get right into it. We'll show some screenshots here and go from there, but the commercial itself starts off with this scene that, yes, you are seeing it correctly, everything is upside down. This commercial blatantly begins with the inversion, in my opinion, something that we spoke of in that video on Buster Miles Malhart or something like that. As above, so below, the duality, the darkness and the light. Notice the major Egyptian theme going on here. Can you see all of the symbolism being shown? You've got the guy in the middle wearing an ankh. You've got Anubis, the god of the underworld, in the background. You know, and after they flip this scene right side up, confirming the duality, as above, so below. So right away they flip this. So they constantly love to show their duality like crazy.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
They will not frame their doings to turn unto their God, for the spirit of whoredoms is in the midst of them, and they have not known the Lord. For the spirit of whoredoms is in the midst of them. My people ask counsel at their stocks, and their staff declareth unto them. For the spirit of whoredoms hath caused them to err, and they have gone a whoring from under their God. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds.
Then we see a female athlete being shown in a clear prism-like box. Remember the Intel commercial featuring Lady Gaga? She was shown to take on the form of both male and female, the androgynous, and she was in a cube.
the potential to imagine the unimaginable. Think the unthinkable. See the unseeable. With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable. Rebranding into its future, Intel has enlisted House of Gaga to collaborate on a project that will showcase technology through creativity at the highest level. Our partnership will culminate in a performance that inspires to remind the world of the seed of innovation, the wizard behind the curtain, the mind behind the machine.
But September 11 is massively important. It's the sun rising in Virgo, isn't it? And of course, Washington D.C. has got Maryland on one side and Virginia on the other.
That's right. And Pentagon is right, almost smack in the center of that square, by the way, as well.
Yeah, but that female thing, which is at the root of Freemasonry, much to the alarm of many Freemasons, the whole thing is about goddess worship equally with God worship. It's about the polarity of gender in the Godhead. And particularly, it seems, in founding Washington, D.C., they were the Virgin Mary and Maryland. They were acting everything out to make it the most perfect place possible. I mean, even the sort of diamond shape has got female connotations.
For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets, and of saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth.
In the Islamic belief, the holy city of Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, Mecca has a Masonic circle, and within the Masonic circle is a square, because you got to do everything on the square, remember. You have a town square, you have New York Square, you have a Vatican Square, you have Red Square, you have all kinds of squares. Why? Because this is Masonic. And it goes all the way back into the ancient world, the terms and symbols.
When you go shopping, watch TV, read a magazine, or walk through the city, how well do you pay attention to the assault of logos that invade your space? Have you noticed the same symbols that show up in thousands of logos? Or have you fallen into a media-induced slumber, accustomed to the assault? Humanity has been conditioned by symbolism, and today we are bombarded by logos. The average American is exposed to 600 commercial messages each day. Some symbols and messages we recognize, and some we don't. And what we don't understand can be used against us. And don't think that it stops there. Religious organizations, governments, astrologists, secret societies, non-profits, and health organizations clearly understand the effectiveness of symbolism to communicate a message. Political campaigns are using subliminals in their ad campaigns. The entertainment and gaming industries know that symbols have emotional power and they play on it. The question is, do you know?
So let's firstly take a look at the subliminal meaning behind the prospect of Alice in Wonderland.
She will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time. Darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Please, we really need you. I'm just here about the portal.
Only the chosen one can align the fates and save the 12 lands from the forces of darkness.
When the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea, in our darkest hour.
Stop to war, so they say. Clouds in the dark, they say. They say she's the chosen one.
Peculiar place to have a party.
Once you realise that these stories, like Alice in Wonderland, are actually allegories of Luciferian principles, made more digestible to the public by the use of cute fairy tales, do we start to understand more of the language that they're trying to convey. And this is exactly why the Large Hadron Collider at CERN has got an instrument called Alice, because it represents the light going through the tunnel. And it's no different with these movies. And what we're seeing today is a huge increase in this Luciferian propaganda. Alice through the looking glass. Well, through the looking glass means to be on the other side of the mirror, which means in a different realm or a different dimension. So Alice is playing that false Christ figure here, the false light.
We then see two females in a desert-like barren land scene. So how much we get shown this barren land? You know, this is something that RSC, Round Saturn's Eye, covers a lot. He does a great job exposing these things. But how much the barren land can represent the other side? We've seen that in many commercials. There's one with Blake Lively for a Gucci perfume commercial. And yet again, walking through the barren land. I believe this is possibly showing Hades or the other side. and basically where these things are coming from. In the middle of the barren land, is this possibly a cryptic clue for the destruction of America? And then the narrator, of course, which is singing, I planned each charted course. These are the lyrics from the song that is playing in the background. So is it possibly showing the devil and his minions have been planning their moves for a very long time? The Illuminati, the elites, the Jesuits, the Vatican, they have all been planning this for a long time, getting everything ready for their false messiah to come. And just like we saw in previous Adidas commercials and even that show Sense8, very similar and possible Hindu symbolism or imagery being shown here. They love to show a person, in this case an athlete, being shown against a mirror, but possible subliminal message is being more than just human. Okay, I believe we're possibly being shown that. Even when you look at the Hindu god symbolism, we see multiple heads, multiple arms, possibly delaying that they can do many things and have lots of power and have much abilities. But of course they want to promote that same kind of thing through the commercials, the same kind of paganism, because remember, all of this paganism is really worshiping the same false mighty one, which is the dragon Lucifer.
I'll never go down your road. I find my way on my own. I'll never follow your path. I'll make mine and I won't look back. I'll never go down your road. I find my way on my own. I'll never follow your path. I'll make mine and I won't look back. I'll never go down your road. I find my way on my own. I'm never gonna fall in line. Your future is not mine. I'll never go down your road. I find my way on my own. I'm never gonna fall in line. Your future is not mine. Your future is not mine.
Now we get the back to this female athlete in the chrysalis box. She was seen in the cube, now emerges from it like being hatched from an egg. Now how interesting that she's coming out of a chrysalis-like cocoon-type container. She is being reborn. That's what it looks like to me. And this is a staunch similarity to the antics of Lady Gaga. It's just astounding. Do you remember what she did at the Grammys before? She showed up in a similar egg-type container, which had to be carried in, and then she emerged from it. And so let's look at that very quickly. Here she is. I believe this was the 2011 Grammys. I could be wrong on the year, but she came in this egg, which had to be carried in. And of course, when it came to the actual show, there she is emerging out of that same egg. So the same antics being shown in this commercial, this female athlete rising or emerging out of the cocoon, out of the cube, out of the egg, and now she is being reborn or birthed into the beast system, possibly what we're being shown. And then we get shown the same Nimrod symbolism, you know, the arms outstretched, and their latest catchphrase, original is never finished. In my opinion, this shows how Satan's work of corrupting mankind is never finished. The devil has to keep working on his, because he's not finished. He keeps wanting to corrupt us even more. And now is the final time you're going to see the same symbol, only this time to reinforce the dragon's coming kingdom. So remember how the trident / pitchfork can symbolize duality, as above so below, as well as total control of the world. This is to me showing that the beast kingdom is coming very soon to enslave the human race. That is what we are being shown, I believe, in this commercial. So, and of course, it has to end with the Adidas trademark 3 stripes going across the word original. Satan's original creations will have the ultimate change once they take the mark of the beast. That is why, in my opinion, original is never finished. Satan needs his people to take his mark in order to be complete in him. Okay, that's why they keep promoting this same slogan, original is never finished, because it will only be finished once someone takes the mark of the beast, then they'll be complete in him. In my opinion, these Adidas commercials are major programming for the fast approaching New World Order / beast system.
I will kill her children with death. And all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. But unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan, and which have not known the depths of Satan, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Let's have a look at the trailer first together, then expose what is being subliminally pushed.
You've been gone too long, Alice. There are matters which might benefit from your attention. Friends cannot be neglected. Hurry.
When the day becomes the night, and the sky becomes the sea, when the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea, and in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
Time is a he. He is not someone you want as your enemy. Please, sir, the Hatter is in danger.
Young lady, your time is up. This cannot be good.
Hello, Alice.
present you with a gift.
Right, so let's take a brief look at this trailer. I assure you without doubt that this is Luciferian propaganda. Even when we start off this trailer, we've got the whole Disney logo, and the Disney logo itself is the river here, which represents the serpent, and this house, palace, at the end of it. This golden palace, so on the head of the serpent there. And it's all about time, because it's ticking away in this logo. Disney 666 in the logo. And so we're already introduced to it being about time. We have the chiming of the bell tolls, and we see this girl, which is playing that character I've been speaking of,
Gone too long, Alice.
the false light, following this butterfly. The butterfly represents from the murky to the beautiful, like the rebirth, the rise of the phoenix, and it goes into essentially what is this house. And you're going to see that she performs some kind of fake, false, self-sacrificial thing, which is what the Luciferians believe that Lucifer is.
From your attention.
So it's like following the white rabbit in a way, and it goes through this mirror, which is a portal or a gate. You can see that there's an allusion to water, like the water gate. Friends cannot be neglected. So she's in blue up there, and this Hatter is in red. So it's the two pillars, and it's Lucifer sacrificing itself. And this is like hell, you see here, and she's up in what you would refer to as heaven. So she does it. She goes through the gate. She follows that butterfly, blue butterfly, and takes the plunge. This is exactly what they believe. The Luciferians believe that Lucifer is, you know, self-sacrificial.
Hurry.
It's their version of the Christ. It's the false Christ. So falling down from heaven, much in the same way. What are those squares? That's weird. Much in the same way as we've seen before, we saw in the Panic at the Disco video where he falls down from heaven. They see that, the Luciferians see that as a self-sacrificial thing. It's all twisted. All about time. So listen to what the narrator says now.
Becomes the night.
So when the day becomes the night, it's all everything turning upside down. Black becomes white.
And the sky becomes the sea.
And the sky becomes the sea. So turning everything upside down, swapping darkness for light. We've seen it time and time again, where the weather goes mad and we see everything being turned upside down. And that's what he's saying here, when the day becomes night, when the sky becomes the sea, turning everything upside down. Look at Lucifer there, approaching what is a representation of the Tower of Babel, I believe. I mean, it's all biblical, but this is their twisted version of it. So the Tower of Babel, the Stargate, you'll see it's all to do with time and time change affecting time.
And the sky becomes the sea. Then the clock.
So there we've got our representation of the clock. This clock has actually got the same design as Big Ben, some sort of flower, geometrical flower in the centre. And I'm not saying that's necessarily anything to that, but we've seen the time, the smashing of time, their rituals pertaining to it often includes this Big Ben, probably because of the GMT, zero, cracking time. Led Zeppelin did it on their album cover.
Then the clock strikes heavy, and there's no time for tea.
That Last Supper reference, and here she goes through the heart of time. Again, all tying into the heart of the earth, and that cracking through the heart of time.
And in our darkest hour, before my final rhyme, she will come back home to Wonderland and turn back the hands of time.
And turn back the hands of time, which we see them representing so many times. If you've been watching this channel before, the reversing of time, possibly to a pre-flood, I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but these are all rituals to do with trying to reverse the prison that they are stuck in. You've got to take some of these things with a pinch of salt because they're not all explicitly biblical, but certainly their belief is that these entities are trapped in Saturn, and it's all to do with breaking time and cracking them out. Of course, CERN as well, and all of that.
Of time.
Time is not someone you want as your enemy.
So time is a he, again, demonizing the masculine side. And this is likely a reference to Saturn there, because it goes the Tower of Babel, Stargate, time change, and then what do we get? We get the single eye symbolism. So there's probably a reference to that.
Not someone you want as your enemy.
Young lady.
Looks like 1,000 points of light, all Luciferian.
This cannot be good.
The heart of the earth there, you see that? It all ties into the heart of time, the heart of the earth, and cracking them out through a portal. And that's it. This is the same thing. I mean, I haven't seen the film yet. This trailer's only just come out. But you see there how this is all tying into the same thing. The changing of time, the Luciferian belief system, Lucifer cracking out the false light, cracking them out of the heart of the earth, and all of that.
I present you with a gift.
This is rather sick, actually, because I'm sure some of you can see what that represents right there, the king being beheaded. So this is very blasphemous, and it's also probably a reference to the king's children, for example, the propaganda surrounding Christians. And also in the book of Revelation it tells us that Christians in the end times will be persecuted in like manner.
That is what I believe we're being shown here. That is what I believe this commercial is all about. So do not be fooled. You know, just like the mark of the beast is shown on the monster drink cans, you've got again the 666, the claw marks, same kind of thing on the Adidas commercial, the 3 stripes. I believe it's possibly denoting the 666 beast system that we are being shown blatantly in these commercials. Because remember, Adidas is truly an Illuminati company, which we'll see in a little bit. But if you look even at the lyrics for this commercial, original is never finished. Here it is right here. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. So totally, in my opinion, the devil talking here. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Okay, this is exactly, in my opinion, the epitome of rebellion. This is right from the pit of hell. I believe this is Lucifer talking, showing his rebellion, and he just wants to keep thumbing his nose at the Father, even though he was a beautiful creation by Abba Yahuwah, but he rebelled. But he wants to keep showing that he is in control when he really isn't. So always remember, Adidas is completely an Illuminati company. You can see it right in their logo. You can see the Illuminati pyramid right in their logo, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. In fact, we saw the same Egyptian pagan sun god symbolism in this commercial. So please be aware of what is being shown to us. Again, you don't have to believe a dang word that I say. I encourage you to do your own research. I encourage you to look into these things. I do not believe for one second that this is merely about shoes. They are totally pushing the beast system that is coming very soon.
Delivery.
Mysterious glowing. Object arrives on front doorstep. Messenger not sighted. What could you be? An alien artifact? A bringer of life? Oh, you're a box. Very handsome. Commanding. Where did you come from? Now, if my measurements are correct, Great Scott!
My, what a peculiar place to have a party. You know, Dino, we really shouldn't be doing this. After all, we haven't been invited, and curiosity often leads to trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
Tesla's secret experiment. X-rays, microwaves, radiation therapy, radar, every harmful beam you can imagine was created by Trump's paternal uncle. He was involved in all of them. All this before confiscating the work of Nikola Tesla on the 33rd floor of the New York City Hotel.
I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets, and of saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth. And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven, saying, Hallelujah! Salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And again they said, Hallelujah! And her smoke rose up forever and ever.
I mean, it's quite worrying when you really do start to see what it's showing, which is this very same thing that we see time and time again of this Antichrist androgynous figure. You know, where else have we seen this very same thing recently? This Rolling Stone magazine cover, Paris Jackson, this Antichrist figure. It looks very similar to Lady Gaga there. But this androgynous aspect, the symbolism with the hand, the false Christ symbolism, rolling stone, like the stone that rolled away from the tomb. So this is the same thing. So Lady Gaga is essentially playing Lucifer. But let's have a look at some of the stuff in here. I mean, it opened up where she's singing God Bless America. And she's singing on top of the stadium. I think this was made by drones. This is representing the 1,000 points of light in their symbolism. Lucifer in the heavens, like the Bible says, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. We've got the red and the blue symbolism, the two pillars of Freemasonry. So it's talking about this Hegelian land. Because if we know anything, we know that the Freemasonry, the symbolism like the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the secret societies that have been involved in America and all of those things. So really, you know, when she's speaking about God here, the God of Freemasonry is Lucifer. But this whole thing is that same, I mean, she's playing that mother goddess Isis. She's playing that Isis figure. And you can see that same split between the demiurge, the Gnostics' belief, the lesser god, and this female god. Because some of the songs she sings are actually kind of about that, which we'll get onto in a second. So what does she do? She starts off up here and then she falls. She falls. She's cast out. She goes down. She's cast out from the stars, just like in the book of Revelation. She's cast down into the stadium. I mean, this is what this is showing, yeah? The fall of Lucifer. I mean, yeah, to me it's just crazy. And then she comes on this tower, like this tower of what do you call it in Lord of the Rings? That dark tower in Lord of the Rings, in that hellish place, was it Mordor? And you see that everything that was like an eye on the top, she's on the top. She's on the top. Well, Lucifer is on the top. And you see that everything changes at this stage. In the stadium, it all goes very smoky, like hellish. I'm on the edge of glory. Think about the lyrics and what they mean. Everything turns red. You see there? I can't play it too long because of obvious reasons. YouTube's very difficult these days, but so you get all this smoke of the pit, you get the red hellish symbolism. She's on top of that tower. I mean, look at this. So she's come from that top with 1,000 points of light up in the stars, and she's cast down into the stadium, and everything turns red and hellish and smoky like Mordor, like hell. She is on the tower, and suddenly the atmosphere's changed, and she's like in this kingdom of hell, and she's on the tower. What I see going on here, I mean, you see the stars. I mean, yes, that looks like a pentagram that's half buried or whatever, and the pillars in the background. But look, this is like a dimensional plane. This is a dimensional plane. I saw someone say that it was a checkerboard floor. I mean, maybe they have links to that, but this is not essentially what this is representing. This is representing a dimensional thing, because this is a spiritual thing. This is about Lucifer, the Antichrist, planes of existence, the fall of Lucifer being cast out from the stars, because she was singing about God when she was up in the stars, right? Before she was cast down. So she was singing about God, remember? And then she was cast down to the earth. And through these planes of existence, you see all of this going on, so you can see that it's a spiritual planes of existence. I mean, but if you listen to every song she sings, like about a poker face, which is essentially lying. A poker face is a false front. I was born this way. I mean, go and listen to it sometime. Listen to the song she's singing. Listen to the words she's saying. That she's playing. Remember, she's playing this androgynous Antichrist figure. This hybrid figure. And she wears a lot of stuff in it that is very similar to what the Bible describes with the precious stones. There's one costume, Gon Shimera said about one of the costumes is very similar to the Bible's description of Lucifer before the fall and all of this. So she's playing that Antichrist Lucifer figure. Sophia, the bringer of wisdom, the fall of light, all of those things, and this is their hope, you know. But this is the main reason for doing this video, is to warn you that this charismatic figure is representing a great deception that many people in this world are falling for already, because you can see how people are flocking to it. So when the real thing comes upon this earth that poses as light, it looks good, that is a great deception, because many will fall for it. So you see, this is like a fractal, planes of existence, dimensional, cracking open of the matrix. This represents the same thing. You see the smashed glass behind her head. That's the cracking open of the matrix, the cracking of the veil, the dimensional veil, coming through the dimensional veil. So this is the costume, yeah. I mean, the adorned in this gold and silver and precious stones. So this thing looks, to the eye, looks, you know, very good, which is the great deception. Caught in a bad romance. Okay, yeah. The last moments of this performance of Caught in a Bad Romance is very reminiscent of this, you know, Gnosticism, this belief and religion that they have. They basically believe about this bad romance between the demiurge and the mother figure. But when it comes down to it, when it really comes down to it, this, to make it simple, this is the Lucifer figure. This is Lucifer. This is the devil singing to the real God in heaven, the real creator, about this so-called bad romance, that they've fallen out of love and all of this. If you listen to some of the lyrics that she's saying in it, you really, caught in a bad romance, you really get that perspective that this is the devil. It's, you know, sympathy for the devil. If you read the Bible, you'll see that the devil is the father of all lies. The masquerader masquerades as light. So do not get drawn into that. I want your loving and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. As I say, she's playing that Isis figure. There's a lot of symbolism here. The eye symbolism, and you see here she gets elevated on these two pillars in white. So this whole thing is like the fall of Lucifer, the rebellion against God, coming to earth, being exalted. We see it over and over again. It's this androgynous Antichrist figure. Essentially it is the Baphomet when it's androgynous, you know, but it all comes down to the same thing, that this is the devil masquerading and being worshipped as God. So just to warn you through this, that, you know, this alien Antichrist figure from a different dimension coming to the earth is being shown over and over again, and for all intent it looks good. So I'd really ask those people who do make these videos very quickly of the Super Bowl, look deeper into what we should be warning people about, not just saying there's pentagrams, because who does it help? The goal of us being here is to help people to understand and to be warned.
This is the big game that's going on. That these elite, these fallen, are mocking us right in front of us. It's their language. So anyway, let's get into the commercial. First off, let's start right out of the opening of the commercial. They're sitting in a club. A secret society is a club, isn't it? And you have to be a member to be part of the club. Just wanted to throw that out there too. But also, since we're talking about the future and reading the future, the tarot card, you know, the fortune-telling cards that they flip over, it's interesting that the club card is also known as the magic wand card, you know, casting illusion. The club card, I'll share that here with you, the club card, also known as the magic wand card. So anyway, as he's sitting there at the bar, Liam Neeson, the actor, playing this part, he turns to him and he says, have you heard there's a revolution coming? A revolution is a change of guard. They want to change leadership. And if you think it's talking about the government, wrong. We're talking about the one game, the changing of, right now we're under the fourth age of grace protection to a certain degree, and the elites want the fifth age to come in. The reign of, they want to bring Lucifer in from another dimension, another realm. That's why those who are concerned about Zern and what it really is about, looking for the God particle and all of this stuff, all it is trying to bring something into this dimension, or cast out. Satan is cast out, Lucifer's cast out. So right off the bat, have you heard there's a revolution coming? They're sitting in a bar or a club. It's really a club. So, and then he flashes a 8 of clubs. Here we go with the clubs again. So going back to the tarot cards now, here we go again with the tarot cards. The magician card, look above his head. The infinity or forever symbol are also an 8. Which means many other things too, which I'll get to later in this video. But also, as above, he's pointing up, and pointing down, so below. See the pentagram star on the table. So all of that, telling the future, the magician, the illusionist here, and he is sharing with this person. Now notice Liam Neeson, the actor, he does not have a tie on. But the gentleman at the bar has a tie on. That is very significant. In the first degree, in the Scottish Rite of Freemason, the entered apprentice, the gentleman enters the chambers of reflection. Okay, remember at the end of this, I'm going to get to it, I'm going to play it out. Remember in the end of this commercial, the future is staring back at you. Okay, so I'm moving forward here, just remember this. And then the ritual of Freemason, the entered apprentice, first degree, he enters the chambers of reflection. Then, during the ritual, a rope or a noose is put around, or whatever, around his neck. And also the candidate is hoodwinked or blindfolded and is described as a poor candidate in a state of darkness, which is figurative of being in a state of darkest ignorance in preparation for receiving the light of masonry. So right there, notice he's sitting at the end of the bar.
What do you mean?
He has no idea what Liam Neeson is talking about. What are you talking about? He's blind. Symbolism. He needs to be enlightened. And Liam Neeson, the Master Mason, is going to tell him about this revolution that is coming, this light. He is going to share with him. Now also, the symbolism of the tie being on, and the Master Mason doesn't have a tie, or a cable tow or a noose, indicates that the candidate enters the lodge in a humble spirit, being the slave to false doctrines, which will be cured by the knowledge bestowed by the mysteries of masonry. Right there. The light of Lucifer, the knowledge that was shared in the garden with Adam and Eve, that supposedly cured them from all of the false doctrines. That's what they believe. That's why the elites do what they do. They believe this lie of masonry. This right here. So the first thing you're going to notice here with Liam Neeson holding the cards, that he has a mark on his hand. Just the symbolism of a mark of the beast. Don't read too much into the technical where it is and where it is. I'm just saying for the commercial, it is a mark. So let's go back to the symbolism of the 8 that we were talking about earlier, and the many meanings behind the 8 and what it's representing in this commercial. But 8 is also very associated with Saturn, the Saturn Brotherhood. This is all secret society going back to Saturn. So you have the 8, the snake eating the snake coming back around. It's also, a representation of the hourglass, which is also in the shape of an 8. Time, space, dimensions, all of this stuff. And also going to mention, I've been mentioning a while back of the 88s, the 8s. Those who've been following me for a while in my channel know about the 88s and the 8. Back to the Future must be, to get through another dimension, you have to reach 88. Also, I want to mention someone here, really good. Enter the Stars does a lot of things on the 88s, but also Truth Media Revolution. He did a couple of videos. One was really good with When Worlds Collide. That one was good. I'll include a couple of links to their videos in the description here too. But in general, what I'm going to show next in the commercial is when he throws the card up against the glass and he tells the gentleman to look. This new apprentice who has no clue that he's been initiated now, he's shared knowledge with him. He wants him to help. He wants to look at this card and what it's representing. You're going to see the dragon eating itself coming back around. And he's going to ask this gentleman he's asking him to help him bring in something. Notice he comes through notice the background, the dimension, the portal with a briefcase and it has light in it. And it represents the false light of Lucifer. He's bringing in. That's what's really going on, guys. Is they're helping to bring something in, and this is part of what it's representing. The snake eating itself is also known as the Ouroboros, and that is some deep stuff. Again, notice that the statue that sits outside of Zern, of Shiva, the circle that goes around it is actually the snake, the Ouroboros, eating itself. So you have that symbol, that symbol there at Zern. Also, it is found in alchemy, and what it represents is the Ouroboros is a sigil, S-I-G-I-L. Let me read to you what a sigil is, per Wikipedia. A sigil is a symbol used in magic. The term has usually referred to a type of pictorial signature of a demon or other entity. In modern usage, especially in the context of chaos magic, order out of chaos, it refers to a symbolic representation of the magician's desired outcome. Also, one of the most famous Ouroboros drawings from early alchemical texts, the Chrysopoeia of Cleopatra, dating to the 2nd century Alexandria, encloses the word hin to pan, meaning one is the all. Its black and white halves represent the Gnostic duality of existence. As such, the Ouroboros could be interpreted as the Western equivalent to the yin-yang symbol. But notice this, the Chrysopoeia, Aurora of Cleopatra the Alchemist, is one of the oldest images of the Ouroboros to be linked with the legendary opus of the alchemist, the Philosopher's Stone. The representation of all the stuff you're seeing out here now of the cube, copying the creator. Also, the actual term Chrysopoeia in alchemy actually means transmutation into gold. Although it's symbolic, it's used as the Philosopher's Stone as the completion of the great work. And that is exactly what the Freemasons actually still call it, the great work. So the next part of the commercial, you see him running down a corridor or a hallway being chased. This is a reference to ascending. Also, a hallway is also in the Matrix. That you must choose the right door. With this knowledge that he has been given, he must ascend, choose the way, the right door, from the knowledge from above shared to below. And the knowledge is from Lucifer, the fallen. It's not from the true creator. That's why they tell him he tells him, because of some event, they're going to be after you because of this knowledge that I'm sharing with you to bring something that's going to change everything. But here's the key. This has been tried many, many times before. It's the same story retold. The Templars. They were looking for something. They found it. Notice their name is Templars. The building of a temple, not a physical temple. It is, we are the temple of God, humanity. Where God dwells in hearts of men that ask Him in. So this is what they're trying to do. They are the builders. This is what it's spoken of in the biblical tense. Acts 4:11 is the builders who are rejecting the true cornerstone. Now, you may be sitting out there going, well, I don't believe in Jesus Christ or Yeshua. I know there was no J in the Hebrew. That was changed to the English translation of the J in that sound, but Yeshua is actually the name. But for you Matrix buffs and out there, notice the hallway here. And see, this is what the elites do. When they look at something, they're taught a different way to look at things. The general public look at this and they see a hallway with 3 people standing at the end of the hallway, and that's all they see. But when the elite look at things, the hallway becomes a pyramid, and where the three bodies are standing becomes top of the pyramid. And so the public sees three people standing at the end of the hallway. The elite see it as three pillars standing on top of a pyramid waiting to be completed. And that's part of, you have to watch some of my videos. The followers know exactly what I'm talking about right now, but if you've never seen my videos, everybody is waiting on a physical temple to be completed in Israel over there before Christ can return. The three pillars, the third temple, and that's one of the biggest illusions of all time, is that's not what's going on, and that's not what is being spoken of. Is the three pillars are Lucifer's temple to be completed, the mark of the beast, a temple that he can dwell in that God is no longer able to dwell in. And that has to do with the scripture too. There is something put in the temple of God, which is an abomination that causes desolation, where he can no longer dwell. This is what is going on. And also, the elite are being lied to more than us. They're so arrogant. They believe they got this secret knowledge, secret doctrines. It's the same old lie. That's what was going on in the garden, that Eve was, we were warned, do not partake of this knowledge of good and evil. Notice what the serpent said to him when Eve was thinking about partaking of the knowledge and was kind of questioning, should I do this or not? And what did the serpent say? He just lied to her and said, look, he doesn't want you to partake of this because he's afraid that you'll become, godlike like him. And you surely won't die. I mean, right there, it hasn't changed, folks. And that's what I'm trying to show here. And the simplicity of Christ. What he did, he came to fix what Adam and Eve messed up. And it's okay. He came, he showed you the way how to do this. You come as a man and you die as a man. And what the elite are trying to do is trying to make a better man. And that's not the way. It's like, I've done the analogy. There's a caterpillar and there's a butterfly. The caterpillar is going to become a butterfly. It's going to get its wings. It's going to become beautiful. It may not know it yet. It's ugly. Caterpillar's ugly. Trials, tribulations of this earth. But when you try to make a better caterpillar, it's not meant to be a caterpillar. It's meant to be a butterfly. Quit monkeying with it. Quit trying to circumvent the program here, folks. And that's all it is Lucifer is lying to the elites, trying to circumvent the creators, what he set in motion, what he sent his son to do. He fixed it. He died on the cross, overcame death for us. That's why he said, it is finished. All you have to do is believe what he did. Believe he came in the flesh. If you do not believe that he came in the flesh and that he is not the Son of God, then you got a bad spirit about you. And that's why I studied everything. Quran, Hinduism, New Age movements, I've studied everything. But when you see a commercial like this and many, many more, you come to the conclusion. Notice this about YouTubers, truthers, or whatever you want to call them. When they get into the conspiracies and they get really deep into it, it's funny. They go into it with no spirit. Some go into it with no spiritual sense at all. They just want to uncover the New World Order, and they're trying to do this or whatever. But as you get deeper into the secret societies, the elites, history, not just in the last 50 years, you will understand why they're trying to make the myth of Christ, it was a fairy tale. It doesn't exist. Also, I want to tell you this. All of the other religions, most of them believe that we can save ourselves. It's within us. We can save ourselves. Look at yourself. Can you save yourself? If you think you can save yourself right now, you don't need to be watching this video. But notice in Christianity, you have to have faith in something beyond yourself, which is Jesus Christ, which was sent here to show you the way. Any other way is the wrong way, and that's all. It's that simple. And there's coming a time where we're going to be told in the future, I don't know timelines, whatever it is there's another way to get to heaven, or we've been, genetically created by aliens from another constellation and galaxy, those kind of things. That is part of the strong delusion that is spoken of in 2 Thessalonians. So moving on with the commercial, he escapes with this secret knowledge that now he merges into the grid, the electronic digital age. He is now inside the circuitry, airwaves of technology. And that is where we're going with the transhumanism, is downloading your mind, living forever another way. The Tower of Babel symbolism, again, ascending. Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin sang about it. They all believe this lie with this knowledge. So the scene cuts back to the club, Liam Neeson and the apprentice, or the gentleman that he has just enlightened. And he turns to Liam Neeson. He says, ask him a simple question. He says, who are you? Now notice what is said next. The future, he says, come now, I've already told you. The future is staring back at you. Now, knowing what has been shared throughout this video to this point, and I say that now, come now, I've already told you. The future is staring back at you. The Prince of the Air and what he is after. So now you know the answer of who he is. The part that Liam Neeson is playing is none other than Lucifer, the original Master Mason, who is trying and trying to create his own temples because he can't do it. The true creator can, but Lucifer by himself cannot create anything. He just has to monkey and tinker with what already's been created. So that's what the question and the answer of who he is. And it's simple. Hopefully you see that now. And then notice now that the apprentice, or the other fellow Mason now, or the apprentice or helper, is set out with the information. He grabs the briefcase, and now his hand is marked. He's taken the mark. He's got a little dragon on there now, serpent. And he is off to go into the world and share and find and share the light with others. That's why Masons are known as the traveling man. He's off traveling. He's out looking for other Master Masons. He's looking for more and more enlightenment, those kind of things. It's all, symbolism. It's all there in their teachings in the mystery schools. That's why a fellow Mason will ask you, are you a traveling man? He doesn't really care if you took a vacation or not. He wants to know the answer to that question. And that question, if you answer it, no, haven't been traveling, or I didn't take a vacation this year, he will know you're not a fellow Mason. If you answer him, of course, yes, I have been traveling in the East looking for light, enlightenment, whatever you want to say, he will know you're a fellow Mason. And specifically, he says traveling in the East because man was thrown out of the garden to the East. And that's why in every Freemasonic lodge that the altar is facing the East, not the North. The true creator is facing the North.
It's time. Let's light it up.
Check.
3, 2, 1. It's working!
And we're just getting started. Wait until they see what's next.
Another example is the very esoteric film Cabin in the Woods. We see a scene where someone attempts to escape an enclosed prison matrix reality that has been created for them and have been forced to be trapped in order to be ritually sacrificed to ancient gods called the Ancient Ones. In the scene, he tries to escape by accelerating his bike to reach the other side of the cliff, but dies upon colliding with the outer hexagonal grid shell that keeps them trapped, and sparks fly. This is why the number predominantly featured on his bike is 88. We see the collision of 88.
Light speed theory. That's the only possible explanation.
What's that?
David, if you were traveling beyond the speed of light, then you could have been gone only 4.4 hours, and the rest of us here on Earth would have aged 8 years.
Well, what does that mean?
Time slows down as you approach the speed of light.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Now, I don't know if anyone saw the opening ceremony. I did catch some of it, but to be honest, after a while I just looked at it and thought, you know, this is just organised chaos. This looks like it's been thrown together at the last minute, and I kind of gave up after a while because of that. But some of the things that were going on in there, though, at some certain points just didn't feel right to me. I don't know if you saw this part where it looked like a black void opened up in the stage, and we had these shapes being formed by like entities, and it was exactly, I tell you what, it was exactly like that CERN production. Do you remember that weird production they made about CERN, where they had these shapes forming in the black void, like in the abyss? And that, it really didn't feel right to me, and this thing started coming up on the stage in Rio, and I was like, and actually it's pretty interesting because the Olympic flame, the Olympic torch itself, is in the middle of this sun wheel, which they keep showing, you know, every now and then on the Olympics. Just the Olympic flame, you know, is in this Shiva-looking sun wheel, which spins like a solar system around the sun. really weird, completely new age, you know, like the Zoroaster fire worship. Looks very similar. This the Olympic torch this year is completely different. It's like a smaller version, but they've built this thing around the edge, which the creator of that structure around it has actually admitted that it represents the sun.
The Olympic Committee did not specify the exact design that they wanted me to make. They gave me fairly free rein. We went through several iterations. What we finally decided on was something that is most like the sun in its pulsing energy and reflectivity of light. Something that is most like the sun in its pulsing energy and reflectivity of light.
So this is tying into this whole pagan sun worship, and as my friend pointed out, that fire is the sun on earth to them, to the pagans, which represents the seed or zera in Hebrew, which points to Nimrod and Tammuz. No surprise there, considering the whole Olympics is around a big statue of Tammuz, the false Christ, in the shape of a T on the top of a hill in Rio. And speaking of the elements and the elemental forces and how pagans worship these things, the creation over the creator. So we have a lot surrounding fire as per usual, but you know, even the colour scheme of the Rio Olympics logo is representing earth, wind, fire. Earth, water and fire. And that is essentially what witchcraft is, you know, the manipulation of elemental forces. So yeah, totally pagan. And something I do find really strange is in the Rio 2016 logo, if you flip it on its side, you can see a subliminal reference in the 2016 to firstly the Leo astrological symbol, which I guess we're in August, and also to the what looks like the Capricorn astrological symbol. And it's pretty undeniable that these things are there and this occult world exists, and that these are pagan rituals, pagan worship ceremonies, and that the symbols are everywhere, the agendas, the same agendas are everywhere. It just makes you think, you know, why do they do some of this stuff? Well, it's because the spiritual world exists, and these people are occultists, and there's involvement at high levels with Luciferians, pagans, Theosophists, Frankists, Zionists, as we saw in the 2012 Olympics, the whole Zionist ritual that went on there, with the rise of the Phoenix in London. And I'm going to cut to the chase here. Solomon's Temple. An exact replica of Solomon's Temple has been built very close to one of the main sites of the Olympics in Sao Paulo. And yet I haven't seen one mention across the media or any coverage, you know, as they show the monuments, the local cultures, and say they want to big up, express what Brazil is about and the surrounding areas, and show all of the monuments. I've not seen one mention of the Temple of Solomon, which is a huge building standing at 55 meters and stone imported from Israel. This thing is huge, and there's no, if not minimal, mention in the press. I've seen one article in the past which was kind of a subtle blasphemy at the same time in the way that it was worded. But throughout this entire coverage of the Rio Olympics, do you not think that's strange that they've not even mentioned or shown this huge structure? What is going on? You know, you'd have thought they'd want to at least show it off. Turn the camera slightly to the left so you can see this huge illuminated temple of Templo de Solomeo in Sao Paulo. considering, you know, the problems that have been there recently with the funding and everything, this, you'd think, is something that they would want to show off. But nope. The lack of media coverage of the Temple of Solomon really makes one wonder, you know, why are they not talking about it? Why are they not promoting or publicizing this to the world?
Stone imported from Israel will line the walls, floors, and the altar. Plans for this temple were drawn up in 2010, but will be ready for use in 2014, which is coming up in just a few months. So construction workers are busy at work, doing everything they can to have it ready in time for the grand opening this summer.
Now, of course, another agenda that's going on with this being in Brazil is climate change and green earth, go green, which I guess is kind of inevitable because it's in Brazil with the Amazon rainforest and that particular area of the world, the Vatican stronghold. But we are seeing over and over, both overtly and covertly, this green earth climate change agenda. You see these symbols, these runes flashing up, this broken Nero's cross, which is very anti-Christian, the crow's foot. You know, and it has got a lot of connections to like Nazism, Anton LaVey, Satanism. When it's flipped upside down, it's not the peace symbol, it's actually supposed to be to do with death. But this is completely anti-Christian in itself. It is a broken cross. It's Nero's cross. But these symbols here, this broken Nero's cross, crow's foot, when pointing upwards, because it's like the peace sign this that flashed up here, but when pointing upwards, it's actually a symbol to do with fertility. So again, that birth of the new earth. There are some pretty unnerving things happening in the world as we speak. Some difficult times ahead, perhaps. But above all, trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, who fills us with his strength and peace and salvation, that the more we see these things coming, the more our hope grows that we'll be going home to be with him in a better place, and all because of what he did when he came to this earth. And he's the most controversial figure to these people. They do not like Jesus Christ because they are trying to usher in the false Christ, the Antichrist, and this new age of deception. You know, the stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone, and it is marvelous.
What has come to light is that it is not so surprising for a lot of people that there are covens amongst the very educated class: architects, doctors, lawyers, priests, brokers, and the leisure class.
These are people who have made pacts with the devil.
That's right. It's really the best, the more accurate way of describing it would be that they have indulged themselves in the worship of the goat, of the prince, of the serpent, of Satan, of Lucifer, and they lead perfectly normal lives. They're jewel merchants. They travel. They're prominent in their own way, but they do have this indulgence.
Father, here's a part of that I can never understand. That has never made sense to me. And that is, if somebody were to make a pact with the devil, then obviously the implication is if the devil is there to make a pact with them, to make a deal, to make their life, their short mortal life on earth, pleasurable, with money or women or travel.
Or more interesting.
Or more interesting, whatever it is they want.
Yes.
Then they are aware of the presence of the devil, and they are obviously aware then of the presence of God as well, and they nevertheless make a conscious, stupid, short-term, blind choice to take what they can get in this lifetime. And to embrace one, you must embrace the other. It's not like it's some wishy-washy prison.
I know you do. It is a very not easy to understand, except when you talk with them, when they let their hair down and peel grapes, as we say, and when they're on their way to being cured of what or healed is the proper word. You find that there's an exhilaration and a satisfaction which is both sensual and sexual and mental when they really indulge in Luciferian worship. There is a peculiar exhilaration.
Like a drug, then?
Yes.
You're doing really well now, but didn't you release a CD like almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
When they really indulge in Luciferian worship, there is a peculiar exhilaration.
Like a drug, then?
Yes.
You're so hypnotizing. Could you be the devil? Could you be an angel? Your touch magnetizing. Feels like I am floating. Leaves my body glowing. Be afraid. You're not like the others. Futuristic brothers. DNA. They don't understand you. You're from the heart of the world. A different dimension.
If I were the devil,
If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of the serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions, just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted, until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
If you don't have the protection of the Holy Spirit, you can be used by these wicked forces. And many times you don't even realize you're being used. Dario Argento is the father of Asia Argento. And Dario is a well-known Italian filmmaker, producer, and director. So we judge a tree by its fruit. And in doing so, in looking at the catalog of Dario Argento's work, we find common themes: Satanism and witchcraft. For the most part, every one of his films have to do with one of these subjects. You can go do any kind of an image search, just put in Dario Argento or films of Dario Argento, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's also interesting that all of the symbolism, the satanic and Illuminati style symbolism that we discuss here on the channel and other people out there discuss as well, can be found in these films. Somewhere around 40 years ago, Dario Argento made this film Suspiria. And again, this film is chock full of satanic and Illuminati symbolism. We even see here the red, black, and white, the colors of the Satanic Church. You also have the checkerboard floor. You have the black and the white, the duality, as above, so below. So here's another recent story that just came out. Asia Argento dons denim shorts that say "Epic Loser" before stripping off and flipping the bird as she shares a bizarre mix of messages to Instagram in the aftermath of boyfriend Anthony Bourdain's suicide. This is one of the posts she put up. She's wearing the shorts, as they said, "Epic Loser," but she also put the message on top there, "F you all." So here's another one of the images that she recently put up, and of course you see her flashing the devil horns and underneath saying, "I love you." So I've covered this a lot throughout the years. Many people try to say the devil horns mean "I love you." So that hand sign for "I love you" was originally introduced to us by Helen Keller. I find it a very weak veil for these people to try to cover up what their real intention is. And I've seen this same argument for years. We'll see these celebrities who we know have sold out to the satanic system flashing the horns, and you'll always see people trying to defend them, saying, oh, no, they're just saying I love you. This is just another part of that grand deception. So she's also a singer and a musician. And one of the most recent posts she put up was of her with artist and singer Nicola Sirkis. So in doing an image search for Nicola Sirkis, of course we find him doing the same symbolism that we see time and time again. Even here we see him doing the famous shh, the hush sign, the keep the secret sign. Another very common symbol we see with a lot of these so-called Illuminati artists. And of course, right here he is again, but we see him doing the horns, flashing the horn sign, right? I guess that means I love you. And of course we find him draped in the rainbow flag. The rainbow itself as a symbol was a promise from God originally. So of course this beast system takes all of these symbols and these ideas that had an innocent origin, and they pervert it, they distort it. Again, this is that as above, so below. It's flipping everything around. It's a mockery to God. So once again, we follow the symbols, we look below the surface, and this is what we find. These Satanists can no longer hide in the shadows. These witches can no longer hide in the shadows. Everything's coming out.
This demonic entity is more than some alter ego, but a spirit that possesses Beyonce's body. In fact, Beyonce seems to black out and be unconscious of her body when this evil spirit takes control. She describes it this way, quote, I have out-of-body experiences. If I cut my leg, if I fall, I don't even feel it. I'm so fearless. I'm not aware of my face or my body, end quote. Beyonce says, quote, it's like a blackout. When I'm on stage, I don't know what the blank happens. I am gone, end quote. She has said recently, quote, I'm more powerful than my mind can even digest and understand, end quote. Notice in Beyonce's Super Bowl appearance that as she's emerging from the circle with the inverted pentagram, her face becomes distorted, as though she has now given her body over to the spirit she identified elsewhere as Sasha Fierce. Here we see that the normally sweet-appearing Beyonce now looks like a different person, more like a man than a woman. Throughout the rest of her Super Bowl performance, Sasha Fierce's mean man face will appear as much as Beyonce's. Beyonce has admitted that this spirit is not a friendly spirit, hence the name Fierce. Of course, God's Word, the Bible, reveals that when it comes to fallen angels, only demonic entities possess human beings. From the time she enters the circle with the pentagram, Beyonce's face morphs repeatedly into a demonic and evil sneer. So horrific were many of the faces that Beyonce manifested that her publicist told BuzzFeed that they wanted them to remove pictures that they considered unflattering to Beyonce, some of which you are seeing here. Satan's desire has always been to be worshipped in place of God the Creator. In Isaiah chapter 14, we read that Satan wanted to be like the Most High God and wanted to exalt his throne above the stars of God. In Matthew chapter 4, Satan asked Jesus to bow down and worship him. Jesus responded and said, Get behind me, Satan. It is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God and serve him only. Sadly, this is ultimately what Satan and the demonic realm want. Here we see Beyonce, or Sasha Fierce, give the creepy request of asking the crowd to reach out to her so she can feel their energy.
Everybody put your hands towards me. Everybody, I want to feel your energy. Wave your hands with me, come on.
Tragically, the crowd is clueless as to who they are praising. May God help us to wake up to the fact that His Word declares that we are not wrestling against mere flesh and blood, but against Satan and the demonic spirit hierarchy that are hell-bent on bringing as many people to the lake of fire with them as they can.
Yes, it's a peculiar exhilaration, and of course, the godly instincts in us all, the angelic in us all, because we all have something angelic and something godly, besides everything else, a lot of other negative things, that is quenched, and you find in them a horror of anything what we call sacred and holy or sacrosanct. Or the idea of the idea of the sacred, of the awesome.
got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
I think he was born out of rage. He was conceived in rage. So he bashes everyone. He threatens to beat people.
I raised my hands up, and it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me.
That shh sign, or that secret sign, is one among many. And no, it's not just a coincidence. So as I was saying, some people are born into this. There are generations upon generations of families that have sold themselves out to Satan. You know, the curse carries from generation to generation.
You have to understand the secret societies, the fraternal orders that are operating within our border. And the people who are in power in this country are working for our enemies. They are using the terms and the symbols and the words and the catchphrases of the European secret societies. They are working for our enemies. This is why no matter what you do, nothing is going to work, because the people of this country don't understand the symbols.
A symbol veils or hides a secret, and is that which veils certain mysterious forces. These energies, when released, can have a potent effect.
Jordan, what do they want? Why are they doing this?
It has to do with the objectives of some extraordinarily ancient secret societies, fraternal orders that have in mind the total domination of the human race.
Symbols are a language that can help us understand our past. As the saying goes, a picture says 1,000 words, but which words?
Spencer, tell me something about the sun.
The sun, the symbol of the light, Lucifer, the intellect, the gift, primordial knowing.
They don't worship darkness. Can't people see that their symbolism is entirely to do with the light? So when we're understanding about the sun, when we're understanding about light, when we're understanding about Luciferianism,
the kind of knowledge is on a need-to-know basis, and the powerful people in this world figure you don't need to know. This is the secret communication among powerful people around the world that are playing jokes on the working class poor and the working people of the world. Have no idea in the world how this stuff is really being played. That's why I've always believed that there is a legitimate, de jure, magical system that is being used and employed to manipulate the whole human race, and we don't even see it.
The secret is simply the fact that certain of their members worship Lucifer, and that they keep that secret from the overwhelming majority of their own members. And certainly the public is never to know this fact, if they can help it. And the evidence to support that conclusion is ample, but only to one who cares enough to look for it.
I've been looking at this one subject of the hidden words, terms, catchphrases, symbols that the Illuminati uses around the world, and I am just amazed how it's right here in America in your face, and people have no idea in the world. We have no idea.
They were brilliant. They're brilliant to be able to hide this.
In plain sight, right in front of you.
we're talking again about symbol literacy generally in life when it comes to advertisements, you see, or media, or video games, or even symbolism, art. it's very important for people to realize the subtextual messages that come across. And since people watch a lot of movies, and since movies are now, in our day and age, you know, $1 million creations, they're in your face, it's actually handy for people to watch them objectively also, like a critic, and see some amazing stuff that's, you know, being told to us through the films.
Deadly fun, but also gonna sun, that's it! Devil Snare hates sunlight. Luma Solem!
And I can tell you now that most of us have been living in fantasy land for all of our lives. We don't even know anything near what the truth of any matter is. We must begin an honest search.
Now Osiris has as a symbol an eye, and that eye, of course, is the sun. And this eye represents the sun of the underworld.
Quote, the arcana, defined as being a secret or hidden knowledge of the ancient mysteries, were never revealed to the profane, defined as those not initiated into the inner mysteries, except through the media of symbols.
This symbol in the Egyptian was a ball of light surrounded by radiant rays. Therefore the sun was radiating in all directions, lifting up everything that came in contact with, bringing death to life out of the earth. That part of the world where the sun was above the horizon was the good part, the life part. Night was the dark part. Night was darkness, mystery, and death. Day was light, brightness, and wisdom.
The symbols and the words, the terms, you start breaking it down. It's in Hollywood, it's in movies, it's in music. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just so overwhelmingly obvious.
Their symbolism is entirely to do with the light. So when we're understanding about the sun, when we're understanding about light, when we're understanding about Luciferianism.
I'm a man who sees life in terms of missions, missions defined, and missions completed. I will not allow this country to be made weak again. I will keep America moving forward, always forward, for an endless, enduring dream and 1,000 points of light.
Their symbolism is entirely to do with the light. So when we're understanding about the sun, when we're understanding about light, when we're understanding about Luciferianism,
1,000 points of light.
1,000 points of light.
But the sun was there as a symbol of order, life, resurrection, fertility, and inwardly of the illumination of the soul.
In all time, truth has been hidden under symbols, wrote Albert Pike. And he also wrote this, symbols are nevertheless ingenious veils that cover the truth.
Once the knowledge was available, nothing could put it back again into secrecy. The only answer to this problem was to keep it secret from the beginning. Now, the problem of secrecy was largely in the hands of a philosophical priesthood, or perhaps we might say a great theological structure.
It's a worldwide thing which is going on, and the people of this earth have no comprehension whatsoever of who's doing it and how it's working. And until we do that, we're just going to keep going further and further in and never realizing who's doing it to us and how they're doing it. It's a very high technology.
The individual who desired knowledge and recognized the need of it was placed under certain restrictions, must take obligations, must prove through long training and discipline worthiness to receive knowledge. It was the purpose of these ancient teachers to make sure that nothing important to the advancement of man could be captured and held by selfishness or ambition or avarice. It was necessary, therefore, to select the custodians of knowledge.
The question of just what the ancient mysteries were, folks, was answered in part by Albert G. Mackey, another 33rd degree Mason. Quote, each of the pagan gods had, besides the public and open, a secret worship paid to him, to which none were admitted but those who had been selected by preparatory ceremonies called initiation. This secret worship was termed the mysteries, unquote.
This is the same genuine, magic, authentic crystal used by the priests of Isis and Osiris in the days of the pharaohs of Egypt.
No, it's a pagan god Horus and his mother Isis centuries before the birth of Christ.
Light can conceal as well as reveal.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Light can blind and burn, you know, and that's what the Illuminati are calling themselves the men of light, or the princes of knowledge, or the Luciferians for a reason, because they know how to manipulate and use light as a weapon.
Quote, ancient secret doctrine, which is concealed in Masonic allegory and symbolism. It was but to preserve these truths that Masonry was perpetuated, unquote.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armour of God,